All right, this could be interesting here at the close. I'm thinking I'm gonna, yeah, let's start with the big picture here and just go on that monitor. So I think I'm gonna stay on this monitor like I did last time I was live. And I'll execute on my domes on Jigsaw, but this way you guys can kind of see what I'm looking at. Um, and what a great day. Wow, crazy day, but great day. I am not in a hurry to trade in the last hour here because I have a nice little pocket of profits from the morning, but that doesn't mean I won't take good opportunities if we get them. But I'm not in a hurry to trade for any other reasons. So good afternoon, Alfredo. Anyway, so chat's enabled only to me, I think. And so if you guys want to send me a message, just do so. If there's a problem or if you have a comment, I'm doing these a little looser than Lee's going to do his. I will occasionally take questions and whatnot, but when I'm trading actively, I will just focus on that and just kind of refer over here when it comes down or between trades. And again, I don't expect to take a lot here. I'm just kind of watching. I've had a number of really good longs off the bottom down here, but not in the last hour. So I've been doing something else. So it's been a really target-rich environment, and no sense pushing it. Big gains in the bank, keep them. But the purpose of this closing session, the reason we've put these on the schedule, is a lot of times there's a really significant momentum opportunity in the last half an hour, particularly, but in the last hour, the last hour in general, the last half an hour in particular. And the kind of days that happens on, it can happen any day, but it's not uncommon at all to happen on days we've been moving around like a lot like this, like we have the last few days. So that's why I decided to do one today. Yesterday was boring. Today looks interesting. So we'll see if we get some action. It will be the usual for this format, which is just stream of consciousness. I'm literally just going to kind of look at stuff and tell you what I'm seeing and why I think it is or is not interesting. And again, if I do take trades, I will call them out. I may not share that screen though, because I want you guys to be able to see the qualified 15-second views on the bottom here and the 30 minutes for NQ on the left and ES on the right on the top. And right now the bottom looks pretty clean. So huge range. Look at the max deltas. Look how far apart those are. It's like, and that's just opportunity when you're scalping. That's why I love this kind of day. But I don't, get stuck out in the middle of of a range. I'm very particular about where I'm playing, and down here it's interesting to play. So hang on 1 second. Okay. So that's the story. Looks like we got a little price rejector on the pullback there. I have been buying the 70, 72 area. I'm not interested right now here, again, just because this is such a massive range. But if we get some momentum going, that's not a crazy scenario. This is how we're down 500 bucks in the YM, 71 on ES. It's like 1.5% to 2%. Our TY is down the most. Oil's down 5 again. Yeah, we could see a rally at the close, or we could see more selling. I think we might get a good momentum trade, but I'm just not in a hurry to play it right here in kind of the middle of the middle. Middle of the bottom is a better way to put it. This is what I'm seeing on my 15-second view. So it's pushing the top end of the range right here. And that's interesting, but it's going to need a lot more momentum than that for me to join long. But I was joining long, at the other end of the range because it was kind of a thinking in terms of information risk and money risk, real easy to manage the money. And, so if it goes, it goes. And those are some really good little scalps. So that's kind of where my head's at right now. And absent something happening, that's where it's going to be for the next hour. Okay. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on here. And what's the most interesting thing that could happen going into the close? Oh boy, the low goes. The low 62. 62 goes. That would be very interesting. But I've been buying down in the lows from above 70. Actually, I was buying 68 earlier. So I'd be shocked if I didn't see some buyers come in there. But we certainly could get some good momentum down into that area So I'm not really interested in playing short right now unless I see, a real threat to the low, which you can see, it's not like perfect, but price rejector on the pullback there, and then we have a price rejector at the other end of whatever period we're in here. This is the pullback column. That's the current period. So I don't, mixed information and nothing I want to lean on right now. I like if it gets back down here to nibble, assuming the bar by bar delta confirms that people besides me are nibbling. That's what I'm thinking about. So cool. Thank you. We've gotten really good feedback on this format, guys. A couple of you just private messaged me that you were enjoying it as well. It's a fun format. We'll see if we can't improve on it. We're talking about ways to do that right now, but so far I'm enjoying it. And then, don't forget tomorrow, and let's see, tomorrow's Lee, and then Thursday is mostly Lee, and then one JVC, and then I'm all day Friday or all morning. And anyway, so what's going on here? 77, nothing I'm interested in still. I like along at 68, at 72. You can see that big negative delta down there, big positive delta up here. So yeah, you need to mute. I can mute you. There you go. Nope. That's a local mute. It's not Zoom. That's your phone. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm not seeing anything of interest in any of the other markets. Oil's, pretty much going into its close, so it's real quiet. Here's what's happening in oil. You guys can see right there, nothing interesting, basically. It's down, 5.2% today, another interesting. So remember we were talking yesterday about, I think I mentioned this on the Ides of Monday. Yeah, the charts being broken. And so, we needed to have a buy the dip really strongly on Monday. Well, we got it, and then today we got it the other way again, no longer buying the dip. So from my point of view, this entire breakdown is still in play. I still think the odds favor going back up into the range or consolidating down here. What would change my mind if we take out the low going into the close down there at 62? Then I think all bets are off. There's a massive air pocket underneath us if that happens. And let me bring this over to this view. So, so here's my TPO view of that. And let me see, I'm going to zoom back just a bit, guys. I don't have enough data. The 4K monitors make that harder to read. Let's just do it here. So, yeah, every nearby level of any, I think I went back 60 days, and basically we've taken them all out. Now it's 30. Let's go back farther and see what we can find while we're waiting for the price action to do something interesting at the close. We'll look at this because, how much lower could we go? In other words, where does the air pocket below us stop? Well, that's an interesting question. Let's have a look. I'm going to scoot this back. It doesn't want to go back again. There we go. Okay, that's the view I was shooting for. So we're right here. And the next kind of weak lows below us, weak poor lows, there's one at 45.60. And remember, the session low is 62 right there. That is a really key spot. So that I'm watching that really carefully. If we take out the session low at the close, that one's definitely in play. And there's a couple more not far away. So this is what I mean when I say there's a big giant air pocket. We could easily fall down to 4,500. That's another 100 points, and to not do that, somebody has to buy when people start selling when we head down there. And so far that's been happening, but that doesn't mean it will at the close. So that's the point that I'm making. Keep that in mind. It's really, really important. You can't see my TPO chart. I just brought it over to the screen you guys could see. Did that not work, audience, JVC? I put it back, but it was there a minute ago.
I thought I glanced over and I saw a chart, but I've got it on my second screen.
There.
Yeah, there, I see it. Okay. I think he means it's so zoomed out they can't tell what you're. So quick point of order for everybody. You have to control the zoom settings on your side. And by zoom, I don't mean Zoom, the company. I mean zoom, zooming in. Zoom, the software, by default, wants to fit everything on your screen. So let's say you're on a 15-inch laptop. Jeff's screen is going to be tiny. So what you need to do is go up into the little control bar at the
Listening?
top and select the zoom settings and choose it 100%
No. You got to be
screen.
hearing this.
Or
This is really important.
choose full size. And then it's called View Options Zoom Ratio 100% Original Size. That's what it's called. And then that way it will blow everything up to be the native resolution that Jeff is working with. The trade-off there is that you have to move things around to follow what else is on his screen. Now, Zoom does have an option that seems to disappear sometimes that none of us have ever been able to figure out why. But if you're on 100% original size and it only shows up then you can choose Follow Presenter's Pointer. It will appear in View Options. And then Zoom will do its best to follow the mouse. But it doesn't always do it correctly or well. And a lot of times Jeff's cursor might be in one place, but he mentions something that's in a different place of the screen, which he can see very easily and clearly and comfortably, but you can't because you're zoomed in on this little tiny area. So it's an unfortunate trade-off of high resolution over Zoom. There's nothing we can do about it. You just have to manage it on your end. Yeah, so Jan, the follow the mouse option, I know what you mean. It comes and goes. One thing I can tell you is consistent is that if you are on zoom ratio fit to window, it will never be there. It does not show up as an option if you're on fit to window. If you're on 100% original size, it should be there. I see it right now, but there have been times when I've seen it disappear and nothing brings it back. And I couldn't tell you. It's Zoom.
Yeah, that's Zoom. But hopefully you guys can zoom in on this because this is really the best picture I can give you of it on my cleanest, largest monitor. And again, it's not, what's critical is just that there's levels below us, and I named what they were, 45, 60, and then 50, 44, and all the way down to 04, call it 4500. These aren't science. This is just, potentially, if the bottom were to fall out, and I'm talking about, that's the session low right there. And, at 62, as I mentioned, and one of these is right below it at 60, and, half a whole number is 50. So, this is a very precarious little air pocket right below us. That's my point. It's not critical that you see it. Just understand the idea and, try to follow along, because again, the purpose of these live sessions are to communicate stream of consciousness. And so, that's what's important, that you're getting the general idea. Any one visual example, follow along on your own computer or follow along on the zoom in of mine, but don't get so worried about seeing it. Understand it, that, really understand what we're talking about. I'm talking about a potential breakdown here going into the close that's really significant, because if it doesn't happen, it's a good little nibble long, but if it does, it could be the short of the year and it could be wicked fast. So, the line in the sand I'm watching right now is the peak of the 70 high volume node. There's some liquidity sitting right there. I don't know if it's MBO or not, but there's like 300 contracts now, 360 sitting at 70. You should be able to see that on the order book. You can't see it on my screen because I'm not sharing that part of my screen. It's, that might be interesting.
Yep.
Okay, so given the context of what we just saw before, that's what I'm watching right there. You can see there's some liquidity right there, and that's the bottom of the high volume node. So if that goes, this low is pretty likely because there's not a lot between there. So, and then again, as I just showed you in the structure, that particular low is above a lot of weak highs, in other words, that it could take out. So the whole thing is just a very interesting scenario, but nothing might happen. So, the key, particularly from a scalping point of view, but certainly from any trading point of view, is, we want to understand the nature of the momentum here. Right now, we're in ebb and flow in a pretty tight little range, from call it 72 to call it 78. So that's a nice workable little 6-point range. And, remember what I say over and over again, in order to leave the range, it's going to take new information, either a new buyer or seller or something. And so watch those range boundaries. And you can see the liquidity guys are right on them. They're right there. See them? That's the edge of the range. That's the other end of the other edge of the range. And there's some liquidity there too. So, don't overthink this. This is the range. The opportunities are going to be at the edges of this. Right here around 75 is nothing. I have successfully bought 68 to 70 and scalped it to 72 and 74 about 4 times this morning. That's worked really well. It may not work the next time, but that's a trade to watch for. And again, as we go into the close, I think the momentum and the volume could pick up a bit. We already have a screaming volume day. We're at 2.1 million. A bunch of you have asked me, what's big volume, what's small volume. This is for this time of year average, but since we're not at the close yet, it's above average. And finally, we've been complaining about the lack of volume forever. We finally have some. So that's cool because volume creates opportunities. All right. So anyway, I'm going to do stream of consciousness. If you have any questions, please stick them in the chat. I will try to keep an eye on it. Again, these sessions are designed not to really be about that, but when it's quiet, I have no trouble with looking over there and seeing. I have no trade ideas I want to execute here for the reason I just showed you. We're in the middle of the range. I'm not going to play. But if the extremes of the range become in play, I might play. We'll see. Right now it's a sit on hands and watch the game. If something changes in the structure, I'll tell you. Right now, there's a price rejector on the pullback at the low, and there's a price rejector on the bar itself at the high. So that's 80.50 is the price rejector at the high. The price rejector at the low is off of 71 3/4, and we're testing it right now, and we just took it out. So there no longer is a price rejector on the pullback, and we're testing going down here unless it holds. And remember, again, this is an area I've been nibbling over and over again, so you may see me nibble, but not yet. I'd like to buy 68 if I'm going to nibble. I don't want to. 72 is what I was trading to when I was doing that, from 70 and 68. So I kind of think of it as an inflection point for the morning, and I want to see it either really get held, or I want to see it get defeated to the downside, which is kind of what's happening right now. So that could put in play the breakdown if we can get through 70. But again, between 70 and 72 is just a little too dangerous. It's kind of the middle of the middle, and I don't want to play there. The other end of the range is very interesting. A short up here at 80-ish on a pop-up that gets sold, I like that a lot. That's very interesting because that could set up taking out the low of the session. Good day to be patient. The only mistakes I've made today are the days that I sat in a position with an opinion. I had two of those. One was an 18 tick on NQ loser for $35, and an MNQ loser, 2 lot. And I let it come to me, and then I said, no, it's still to me, and it wasn't, but I was stubborn. That's one mistake. And then I have one other mistake. I got swept. It was sweepy this morning. That was in a mini ES, and I had a 6 tick sweep against me. So that was a 62 or a 72.50 stop out, and that was that. Otherwise, I've been profitable and scalping really nice ticks all day. And again, I'm telling you this because I've been really patient, and I've also been teaching part of the day. So that was mostly in the first 2 hours. I have not traded since then, but I've really been watching this range here. The 72 area has been in play all day. Really. You know what I'm going to do? Let me show you a view of that from the wave volume point of view, because I think that's really useful. Structure's useful, and watching the real-time trading, the traded volume on the dome is really useful, but I really find looking at this view really useful. This is a minute right now. There's no particular interval that's better than another, but just getting a sense of what happened today. We opened, there was an attempt to bid the market up. Remember, it was already bid up when it opened. We were up a bit, particularly in NQ. And then, that's the initial balance low right there. When that got sold, the party started up thrust, up thrust, up thrust. And ever since then, and once we established the low, this is what I was scalping this morning. 68 to 72, really liked those down there. They were really, really good, quick. They were really fast. The sweeps were going north down there, and started doing that here when this direction we were getting sweeps going down. Right at that first attempt to buy, we started getting sweeps the other way. So that became a good spot to start looking for longs. And now we're in ebb and flow, and we're right back there. So keep an eye on the delta. Remember what I said, to break a range, the delta has to break the range. So right now we're in ebb and flow starting right here at 51. Another 1151. So at the price level of 80 is the top. I mentioned this a minute ago. And the bottom is 70-ish. That's where that liquidity is. So if it gets down to 70-ish and you see, sell side go above 1,000, it's going to go down. It's going to break the range. And if you don't see the delta going up, it's not, because it can't. To get below 70, we're going to have to see significant downside delta. So, and again, on 15 seconds, it will show faster, but the idea is the same. This is just so I can kind of stay in context And I've actually got one running on the other monitor that's on 5 minutes, and it looks just like that. And you can just get a sense of the energy. You know, we came down here on 153,000 contracts. We went up here on 172,000. You know, we're in ebb and flow with some decent volume. That's what's going on. So, you know, don't assume anything else is happening. That is what's happening. We are ebb and flow at the lows with good volume in both directions, which is opportunity both ways if you're patient. And right now, there is no good trade. You could easily get burned either way, but my bias at the moment is definitely long, as long as the 70 holds and levels below it hold. So that's what's going on. All right, putting these back up. That's my 30-second tour through Jeff's brain. That's what I'm thinking, and that's what I am seeing. So right now I am comfortably sitting on my hands and waiting for an opportunity. Things to know about the close. If there's going to be a high momentum event at the close, it sometimes starts at noon, but it almost always starts by 12:30, which is 10 minutes from now. So if we're going to get it, we will get it in the next 20 minutes. It almost never happens in the last 10 or 15 minutes, because if it's going to happen then, it will start earlier than that. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know if it does, but remember what's going on at the close. Everyone's taking profits. Today's the last day of the month, everybody. It's the 30th. So, whatever you do today is your bonus for the rest of the year for Wall Street. So this is a really important day. They may bid it right back up to break even. We could go up 75 points at the close. You never know. So don't have a preconceived notion. Don't have biases. And just play what happens. Right now, nothing's happening. Looks like 70 to 72 is still in play to buy, but that might change the next time we visit it. And that's my story. And I'm sticking to it. Okay, so structure has not changed. I'll kind of bring it over here, and you can kind of, and that works pretty well. Can you see that pretty well, JVC? Is that kind of, I kind of stick it over here temporarily?
Let me go back to regular full-size zoom.
Yeah, I just got my 30-minute. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right,
I think
cool.
so.
So you guys forget this little one down here. That's oil. But right here, you've got the ES 30-minute. I just dragged it over from my other monitor. So here's what I was talking about. Price rejector up there, price rejector on the pullback, good buying on the pullback. But, we're just right at big positive delta on the current bar. So, that should hold if passive sellers are in control. Big range, and look where the passive buyers were earlier, 72.5. Remember what I just said. That's 70 to 72 is the area I've been playing, and that's been a good area. It's been in play for a while, but if it goes, it could be interesting. Remember, this is a price rejector on the pullback. This is a legitimate price rejector here. This is one it's trying to do in the pullback. That's why it's the brighter color if you're familiar with emoji. The emoji tool set. Similar picture in NQ. It has a price rejector at the top too, pretty clean one, but a pretty clean bottom as well. So again, we have a decent, well-respected range is what the structure people are seeing right now. Correct me if you disagree, JVC, as the current structure person in the audience.
I don't even have it in front of me right now, so let me take a quick peek.
Yeah, I mean, if you do disagree, I'd be surprised, because that's pretty much those are facts.
Yeah, I mean, we got UB at the low. We're near the low. We're pointing down. What else do I need to think about? I mean,
yeah, that's the UB at the low, but that's a good ways down there. That's the 62. Yeah. So it's just naturally not it's not automatically going to happen. But boy, if we start going that way, absolutely. Yeah,
I'd be looking to do scalps short, grab what you can along the way, and then if you happen to be in when it decides it's time to move, then you're going to get that killer runner.
Yeah, and as long pretty much you're safe doing that below 80 here, but the problem is you still want to try to get a good entry, and 75, 76. The top of the range is 78. That's not a bad place. I'm still thinking this might get bought and looking for longs at the other end of the range. But again, the minute that the bottom end of this goes, we have definite UB down there, and we've already taken out the overnight low. So the odds are pretty good this will go down there, but it's got to be going that way first. And we're still in the high volume node that I mentioned earlier as well. And to me, that trade doesn't even start until we break 70 and get out of this high volume node. So that's another way you could play it. You could put a short stop limit entry at 69.75. If that guy, sucks up those 200 contracts at 70 and then we puke them, that might not be a bad way to enter that trade. Who knows? We'll see. Again, we have about 36 more minutes, so this could get really interesting in the last half an hour. The last segment starts in 6 minutes, 5.5 minutes, and again, if we're going to get a high momentum move, overwhelmingly, that's when we'll see it. In the first 5-10 minutes of the last period, it almost never comes later than that unless it's news related, and it's simply because there's too much business to do. If people are going to start doing it, they need that time to do it, and that's why you'll see the volume will pick up, and you'll see the LTQs picking up, and the book will start to fill up because people have to get business done for the day. And again, don't forget, this is the last day of the month. That is significant. People are, whoa, there's the sweep through 70, and that would have been a perfect stop limit entry that I mentioned now that we're trading 69.5. So I'm looking for a short again here, but I haven't done it yet because that's the first attempt at what I was just talking about, and it was beautiful down from 74. So obviously that's the right play right now, but whenever you've got momentum, you have to be very careful where you join it. This is a beautiful breakdown that I'm not in because I'm just enjoying telling you about it, and I'm not in a hurry to make more money. I've got a good profitable day, but again, a place I could short back into here, maybe 72, maybe 70, would be very, very interesting. You would think, though, since we did lose 70, that that was the puke basically that you just saw. That was the puke of the guy that bought 200 or 300, and look what the bar delta did. See right there, big significant push down, and that's what that has to happen to leave the range. So anyway, the bottom wasn't as clean as it could be, but it didn't leave a lot of excess down there. So for the moment, that's all the pullback has been buying. There's a zero print up here we could sweep through, which looks like we're about to do that. And there we go. Great. Oh, we're right on that zero print, and it filled it. Okay. So there's big negative delta. That's kind of, limit sellers line in the sand is back up at 72.5. So, another place to lean on this could be interesting, but one more time, I'm not, we got bought right out of there. I'm not convinced we're not going to go up at the close. So I'm not going to have any preconceived notions. I'm going to continue to read the action like I did, and see things coming. Don't have to take everything you see coming. Just let it build your confidence when you see something like that. When I see, a good place to put a stop short entry at the breakdown of 70. Well, that would have worked perfectly. And I don't get into shoulda, coulda, woulda that I didn't do it, because that doesn't matter. You want to get really good at seeing what's happening because you can do it any day. So that anytime I'm not trading, I like to reinforce what I'm seeing like that. And if it's right or wrong, I'm not resulting because I'm not trading. I'm just running my process in my head and looking at the inflection points and describing what I would do if I was doing it. But you don't have to always do it. That's mental practice is in some ways better than live, but they're both good. All right, there. See, there's 73. Okay, we're going to get a reshort. It's right here, folks. And again, I'm not going to necessarily trade it, but this is the sweet spot, and there it goes. Okay, so boy, but it does not want to just have the bottom fall out. I would not be married to the short UB idea here. The buying is just way too strong. So again, this is a push downs are shortable and then high volume reversals to get right back in. In other words, the range is holding, folks. That's literally what's happening. The range is holding with some really good action within the range. All right, so we don't need structure. And you can see on the 1 minute, we have made lower lows and we've made slightly lower highs, but look at the energy of it. 16K down, 22K up, 43K down, 20K up, 63. So much more energy down, but we're not leaving the range. We're still at 72. That is informative in and of itself. Aggression doesn't push us to new lows. So there are buyers below us. How strong they are and how long they'll hold, who knows? But at the moment, the bottom falling out into the air pocket short idea is only good until the buyers step up, and they have stepped up. So again and again and again, the bottom of this high volume node is in play. And unless that goes, forget 62. The bottom of this range has to go. And now the range is a little lower. It's 68 now, but we're trading 71. So, that plow through 70 did puke, but then the buyers stepped right back in after it puked. So two-way trading. Funny, the hedge fund guys always seem to get that right. Every time they talk about two-way trading weeks, we have days like this. You'd think they might know what they're doing, slinging those 1,000 lots, huh? All right. You crunch the chart for NQ. Yes, Jan. The one I showed with the footprint for the 30-minute, this one, I use anywhere from 3 to 8. At the moment, I believe I've got it compressed at 3. Yeah, 0.75 when the actual tick value is 0.25. Otherwise, remember in NQ, you're not looking for price levels, but price ranges. And that's why, otherwise, it's just way too much information with NQ. Each individual price level is not important. It's the aggregate of them. And for the fast 15-second footprint, that one I do run tick by tick because I really want to see the sweeping through the book. So that's this one here. And it ends up with a lot of zero prints, obviously, but it really gives me a sense of the momentum. See, it really gives you a real feel for the momentum and when it's changing, and that's what it's all about. So on that one, I do run it tick by tick. But remember, I'm not trading off that. That's over on my left eye. I'm watching it over here, and I'm seeing the range of it here. And this is something interesting to watch. This is the 15-second footprint, and you can see like there's a little price rejector at the bottom, and here's that UB down there at 62. And I find this really useful because it helps me really stay focused on the RFN, the right fracking now. And it gives me a really good sense when moves are starting or ending. So remember, I've got one of these for each of the indexes over on my next monitor over. I am seeing that. So I'm actually getting a lot of context, 30-minute context, really fast context, and I'm dialed in on the dome here, because I know where the opportunities are, like we're at one right now. So this is a spot I'm going to look for to either buy or short again. I don't need all that stuff. I know that already because I just looked at it. So that's why it's not in my face. But yeah, you know what? I'm tempted to nibble along here. Let's see if we can. If we get 3 ticks on the first attempt, then we know that idea is a good one. So let's see. I've got 2 ticks. Can I get 3 ticks there? There's a little bit of I should puke right here. Should fill me. Boom, got it. Okay. So the notion that there's buyers here, I just proved it to myself. I'm right. When you can get 3 ticks that quickly, that trade was 10 seconds. Okay. So this is not a market you just sit short in. You will get burned if you do that. There are buyers under here. I just demonstrated that. Where they will choose to come in and where they will not remains to be seen, but this is not a stay short for that UB under all circumstances setup. The price action is there's buyers under us. So unless this range goes, and right now the bottom of the range is, let's call it 67. So, this right here has to go. And not coincidentally, that's the edge of the high volume profile that we're kind of filling in here, right? So below there's nothing. That's the last bit of bulge right there. So I like this spot both ways. Not inconceivable that the bottom could fall out and we could have a wicked short, but at the moment, I'm much more likely to play the other direction. When those pushes down get bought, I'm going to join them. So ideally, a sweep down into 68 or 65 now that has some absorption would be the perfect place to get long. Short, you want to, again, if we can get 74 again, that might be a perfect place to play short because that gives you the move back to 72. So we're at the top of the range now, see that? So I might consider a short here. As I was explaining that, it went down 6 ticks. So we're back at 72 again. So that's a trade. 74 to 77 is definitely a place to look for shorts. So there you go, 74 to 77 shorts. Long 68 to 70, assuming the 68 holds. And that's the game. So let's be patient and let those come to us. If you have any other comments or questions I can elaborate on, I will, unless I'm in the middle of a trade. Here's 75 again. Look for a potential puke here, though, if this holds and buyers come in like that right there. This cannot go any higher or the shorts are in big trouble. If this clears like that 80 absorption, remember the big negative delta was at 80, still is. If we clear that, the shorts are in big trouble here. So watch that line in the sand right there at 80. It's got some liquidity on it. It happens to be the POC, which doesn't mean anything, but it's a coincidence, but that's the POC. Highest volume spot for the session. And again, that's not an edge, it's a metric, but it's interesting that happens to be at the line in the sand for shorts. So yeah, we get above 80 here. The shorts are in massive trouble, but we're nowhere near it yet. So again, the range, if you understand the short-term range, you've got everything you need to know. And this is a beautiful range in play in both directions. You could be scalping this both ways. You just got to get good entries. Let's see if we can't catch a long break of the top, if that's what's going to happen. It looks like it might be. I just reset it so I could see so what you're looking for is a move up to get lifted. So you want to see the volume increasing as it lifts. And right now it's not. It's churning right around here with four ticks sweep down, the buyers come in, then we go back up 3 ticks. This is ebb and flow that's pushing down. So you want to really stay tuned in on the volume here. And as long as that keeps happening, it's either hitting the bid right there and they're pushing it down. So this is being driven by sellers right now into that 72 area. So let's watch it. There we go again. 68 to 70 is the area in play. If that goes, then the bottom's going to fall out. But the buyers stepped up once again there at 71.5, 72. They like that spot. That's a quarter. 72.5 is a quarter. I talk about that all the time, When we're above 72.5, 75 is in play. When we're above 70, 72.5 is in play. They're not inflection points. Somebody asked me that earlier. They're really just kind of, it's just something that ES does. It's done it as long as the pit traders, and since we went electronic, it's chunking. It's human chunking. I don't know any other way to explain it, but everybody who trades ES from the pit forward is aware of it. And again, it's not an edge, but just, a way to game the very short-term range. I'll leave it at that, which right now is pushing down. So here's 70. Remember, the absolute bottom of this is 68. I think it's an interesting long if it continues to push and buy, but the momentum is picking up to the downside here now, so that might be done. We might be about to go down and get that UB at the lows. Let's see. If not, it could be a very interesting long once again. The internals are crappy. Advanced decline is bad, but not catastrophic. So, the only strong large cap that was up was Apple earlier. Everything else was down. I don't know if that's all still true, but that's all kind of the whole picture, that we're down, but not pushing down further. I'm really tempted to nibble long here. I'm going to do it just for fun. Let's see if we can catch 72 just on a 71.5. That'll give us 2 points. And here it comes. You know what? I'm going to take 75, 4 ticks. Boom. That's good. Trades work right away, guys. It's pushing down into a spot that there was a good spot to grab along. That's a one lot, $50 in ES, $5 in micros. I'm not saying it's a long. I'm just saying that's a really good spot to pick one off. I just did it. It's the bottom of the range. Ranges matter. Which way are we going? With what momentum is question number 1, right fracking now. And then question number 2 is how, if at all, is that changing? The down energy is holding an ebb and flow, and we even see a little bit of buy side energy. Look at RTY, look at NQ. Those both look like they could take the top of their range soon, particularly RTY. Looks a little better. We're down across the board, but we're balanced now. Remember, RTY was leading earlier. It was down like 2.5%. It's not anymore. This is a very interesting potential long. We have, it needs to get going if it's going to do it, though. In the next 10 minutes, if the buyers don't show up, then the day's pretty much over. We could just gyrate around here near the lows. That's not inconceivable either. But I think that's going to create some good scalps. Here comes another one, I think. Let's see if we can't catch one here. Oh, don't want that. Let's do it over here just for fun. For a minute there, I almost had 20 ES on, which is what I'm doing when I'm not teaching. And I was like, no, we don't want to do that.
Whoops.
That would not, that would be a whoops, right? Instead of 1 micro, I would have 20 ES.
No, that's a fat finger.
That's a fat finger. Yes, it is. And I don't have anything that stops that because I trade that size in full sizes. So, I just have to control myself and not make that mistake. So I don't want to be trading over here. I want to be over here, and then we can play with this a bit. Okay. Yeah, I'm just still trying to at least get one on here because it's holding, but I don't want to use a market order yet. And there it goes. See, so I know my instinct's right to be nibbling long here. Does everybody see that? That's how the short-term price action tells you if you're right or wrong when you're trying to get filled at the edges of ranges and you can't. That you're in exactly the right spot because everyone else is also buying down there and they got there first. That's literally what's happening. So the market sells are getting hit by limit buys, and that's what's filling. And So, it's a buying opportunity. All right, let's see if we can get it on the next push down. There's a lot of liquidity building right there, which can be deceptive. It's a magnet till we get to it, but sometimes those guys are, being Decepticons and they really want to sell. So a sweep like that would be the first thing that indicates that's what's going on. So it should sweep down to me here and I should get filled, and then it should not go much farther if this idea is going to work. So I'm trying to pick up 2 micros here. Let's see if we get them. Let's reset that so we can see. All right. I cannot seem to get that first one. I'm right where everybody else is. I just pushed it up a bit and I still can't get a fill. The concept I'm teaching here I'm explaining here, guys, should make total sense. That, I've been trying now 3 different times and moving it up a tick each time. I cannot get along here, even in a micro. So, clearly there's a lot of buyers here. They could go away in a heartbeat, but right now I'm on the right side of the trade. That's how you read that. Okay, we got a fill. So let's see if we can catch 3 ticks going the other way. And again, if you're doing that in ES, that makes really big money fast. I'm just showing it in NQ because I don't feel like jeopardizing my day here. So, or not NQ, but in micro ES. See if we get that other one, because that's the absolute extreme of the range. So I do want to see if that one fails, because then I'll have a perfect little 2 lot right on that boundary that works or it doesn't. So monetary risk is low, information risk is higher, and I don't care. Look at that sweep. Okay, so again, I'm in the right spot. That the sweeps are working. I'm trying to get filled and I can't. This is probably going to fill profitably in just a second. So, that's why I'm doing it in micros too. This is probe trades. I'm an alien probe. I'm on the spaceship probing the humans to see what they're thinking. All right, so I'm going to leave that guy down there at 67.75. I don't think it's going to get filled, but if it does, it'll be a nice early warning to either the drop or a push down to buy. So we'll leave that there. Anyway, so we got a few more ticks of micros there. Having fun. See, pulling and stacking from Jigsaw, how many seconds, minutes of data is that? I use the default, and the default is based on the levels. It's a smooth of 5 levels. That is the parameter that I use. I'll show it to you. It's what you do is you go to the Auction Vista tab, and then you will see the flip, and it's the number of levels that you're snapshotting. That's what you're measuring. And it's a little baby momentum algorithm, and that's all it's doing. It's smoothing that out, combining the pulling and stacking on those 5 levels on the bid and the ask, and it's netting it out with a little, this is the flip chart right here at the bottom of each of these, and it's showing at the moment, whether that pulling and stacking smoothed and netted out over 5 levels is either bullish or bearish, and the bullish is when it's blue and the bearish or downside is when it's red. And it's consolidating that. There's a lot of different ways to evaluate pulling and stacking. I find this really useful because it's just one thing to look at. It's either pulling or stacking right now based on that flip. If you look at it at every level and you don't smooth it and consolidate it somehow, it's really hard. Like if you've got it right on the dome and show the minuses and the pluses, I used to do it that way. If you go back to the workshop of 2019, the videos, you'll see that I have pulling and stacking. It's just impossible to add it all up quickly in your head. That's why that's such a good little tool. But I'm sure there's a tool like that or a way to do that similarly in Sierra. So you just, you have to figure out the mechanics of it. You mean the time axis? That's not an axis. It's not levels. You're overthinking that. All I've done there is I've taken Auction Vista and I've just crunched it down. That's all that is. Here, I'll show you over on oil, because that way I don't have to not look at what I'm doing, and I can leave this here because I want to see if I can get that guy filled. So I'm going to open oil over here on the left side of my screen, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so this is what it looks like. I just took the Auction Vista heat map, and I've just got it on the bottom. There is no scale there. I'm just using the standard settings I use for Auction Vista, which are always the same. And if that's what you're asking me, I use 15 seconds and 3 for the interval width. But that's the Auction Vista settings. That's not the flip chart settings. Is that what you're asking me? 15 and 3. And that's across the board, all instruments. Okay. Okay, I still can't get filled down there. It pushed it within a tick of me. You can see right here, but I still have not filled. So my thesis that you buy the dips here going into the close is still accurate. I don't think we're going to have the bottom fall out. And here comes a lot of buying. Look at the equivolume there, guys. You see that? look at my 15 seconds, just all this huge white and the delta's really big. That's a big chunk of buying. So that's probably people starting to close out shorts for this session. We're 15 minutes out. So, again, I think this is a better long than short opportunity, but I don't want to be long at 74. I want to be long at 70, 68. I've got an order at 67, 75. If you're going to play the game, you got to get a good entry, bottom of the range. And momentum could turn into a great trade going north, but it's going to have to clear 80 before I'll even think about joining that momentum long up there, because you're just at too much risk. You're at the top of the range. So, just if it stays in the range, you're gonna be offside. So I'm not gonna join. Remember, I'm always asking myself, if there's high momentum, do I want to join it or fade it? And the first thing I want to do is nothing, and I want to evaluate it. This is joinable high momentum, but it's too risky because of the liquidity up there at 80 that we're aware of. That's the big delta. So I'm just not going to join it. It's not worth the risk. But at the moment, this is a long. And there's a 6-tick sweep down, which is another reason I don't want to join it long. The downside sweeps, if I'm going to join this long, I want it to sweep down to me. I want to be at 72 or 70, and I want to sweep to come down and fill me, and then it goes back up. That's the way to enter this trade. Or just don't take it, And that, by the way, what I'm describing is not easy to do well. It takes a lot of practice. You've seen me over and over do this. I've been doing it for years, and it's practice. It's a learnable skill. Okay, now there's a big bid there. We could take out 80 pretty aggressively, or this could be a perfect short. Either way, I'm going to watch it. My guess is long because of the energy. And again, I keep thinking we're going to get a long here at the close, but it has to clear 80 for the shorts to be wrong, and has not been able to do it yet. Got within a tick that last try right there, but it has not been able to clear that. And again, I'm watching that simply because that's where the big max delta was. And that holds the price rejector. Remember our structural view, it should be in the back of your head that there's a price rejector right up there. And, so that's the area that, if it just can't cleanly go through there, then we're still in the range effectively is what we're saying. Hopefully all that makes sense. Again, these are not intended to be classes as much as just get in Jeff's head for an hour. So hopefully you're able to do that with what we're doing here. And typically, this is one of the reasons I rarely trade the close. The closes are always volatile. So, unless there's a really strong directional momentum move, don't trade them. But they're really educational to watch, and just, you'll become an expert in price action if you just watch the short-term action around the close, because it's really, really predictive. Just trade it in your head. Trade it in the sim, play, have some fun. But yeah, there's no trade here. We're right on the POC. I still like that long down there. I've still got that order there, but I'd say the odds that we're going to get there are really slow or really slim. So yeah, now there's big liquidity at 72. So we're working the top end of the range. We shot up to this. Look, the momentum that got us up there was really aggressive. But now, where are we? We're in ebb and flow at the high, guys. That's a dangerous spot to be with any position. If you're long, you want to protect your profits. If you're short, you could, the range could continue and blow the upside. It's almost like the ambush zone of LRCs is right where we're at now. So there's just no way I'd play there. But do I like a long? Yes, I do like a long down here again, and I still like that one. So we'll see if we can catch 71. Again, I really doubt it. I think the buyers are going to control the close here, but we'll see. We got 10 more minutes, 13 more minutes. Am I leaning on 70 to 72? Oh, cool. I got your question. Good, Jan. Yeah, 15 and 3. Are you leaning on 77 because of the delta showcase there? Because it's the bottom of the range. That's why I'm leaning on it. Every time we come down there, the buyers arrive to the party. As you've seen, just look at the 15-second here. Every attempt down there has been bought. We have not gone below it. So for the moment, that's the action I'm trading. And again, I've been doing this for quite a while. I had this up here earlier. If I zoom out a bit here, you can see that opportunity has actually been going on for a while here. I just changed this from 1 minute to 2 minutes, and then you can see the bottom really clearly. We have not been able to push down. So we got one of them long. Cool, 71 filled. All right, so let's see what we can do with that. It's kind of teasing me. So let's put the target up there at 74, maybe 74 and a quarter. See if we can catch another pop. So, all right, we're profitable. Let's get a stop under it. And that might be all we get. And that's all we get. Fine, got 3 ticks. I'll take them. I still like a long here, but it's not going up as aggressively as I'd like if this is going to really be an inflection point. It's holding the bottom of the range, but It's not like the buyers came in out of the woodwork and they're screaming into buys. It's two directional here. So again, I want it to come to me. That's what I'm doing. And the 2-3 ticks at a time is all I'm really going to go for. And again, I'm using micros because I'm showing it to you guys, and that's actually been working okay all day. I have a $73 micro winner from this morning. Just I caught a puke perfectly, and so why push it? I'm up a couple $100 just doing that with micros. All right, here we go again. I'd like to get this one filled and then have it not drop out below that. But anything can happen. Let's put the target where we in here at 69.75. Let's go for 2 points on this one. Get a little bit bigger. There we go. Come on, come get me. Come get me. Come get me. How about 6 ticks? No. Okay, it went 4, then it turned. Let's see if we can get 4. What is that to right there? And yeah, all right, we're about to get filled on number 2. Cool. Okay, so this is going to work or not. If the downside gets going, I'm off sides and I'll just hit flat. I don't think that's going to happen. I think my long's going to work pretty nicely, but let's give it a shot. So you can see I've kind of scooched it out a bit, so we'll take a little profit and then maybe we'll catch a runner or not. Oh, here come the sellers. Okay, I'm just getting out of the way to watch this. Those are not my stops. I'm going to flatten out of this this could take the lows out. Let's get out of the way of that. Okay, there's 62. That's the low. Here's the UB. We took out the UB by a tick. That could be the perfect long right there. I am going to nibble on that with a very big stop and see if we can catch that high volume reversal right there. Here it goes. Perfect. Okay, I want to protect that quick. All right, we got some ticks. It came back down. I still like this long, but I'm going to be... And again, that's why I'm playing in the micros. It's volatile. I had to flatten out on that other one. The bottom could fall out here, but it's coming a little too late to really take the bottom out of the market. So I'm thinking this might be actually a good buying opportunity, not a short. And there it goes. That's what we're looking for. A big push up. Let's get that second one. Maybe we can get the second one here. That will be nice. Again, I think the range is going to hold, even though it's really getting aggressive here. It's too late to really take the lows out. So let's see if we can catch some nice scalps the other way. I mean, we're already down 87 points, right? So real, good risk reward here, right? It's asymmetric. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll get out of the way. It's not costing me a lot of money to do it. Already got a nice day going, as I said. Okay, now the liquidity is at 60. We're off sides a bit here, but again, I'm just going to move those out of the way. I expect to be off sides trying to do this. It's impossible to get it perfectly right. Okay, at some point, whoever's pushed it down here is going to have to take profits unless they hold overnight. So, okay, let's see if we can get a nice puke up here or down. Either way, I think it might be an up puke, but watch the traded volume here. Watch the LTQ. Watch for lifts. If the bottom goes badly, I'll just hit flat. Again, I think it's going to be a long, not the bottom breaking, but I was wrong once about that already. Took a little baby loss. Let's scoot one of these up a bit. It will be pretty wicked if it does get going either way. So I'm ready to flatten it out if I'm wrong. Again, sellers are in control here, but there's buyers down here. So just be very cautious if you're just holding short. There we go. That's a good short. It should stop here. If it doesn't, I'm going to get out of the way. Yeah, I'm going to get out of the way of that. Okay, this could be very interesting tonight yet again. Whoa, there's the buyers. Boy, I mean, 62 was the UB, and it's try as it might. Remember, the next level down is about 54, as I showed earlier on the TPOs and whatnot. So, 60 is still in play here. It's litigating it, but it has yet to get very much beyond it. So, we could get a good long overnight. I'm not anxious to play either way here anymore. Again, the long might play out, but it's too risky now that 70 or 62 sold and it's not able to get back above it. But again, that's all it's going to take is if it does clear 62, maybe we'll hop back in. Anyway, still have a nice profit, so I'm not unhappy. And again, this is why, you know, the close can be really tricky. It can be really two-way, but the longer it stays down here at 60 and accumulates all this negative delta, and that could be the key right there to what goes on tonight. This could be a great tonight session. I'm getting excited about already. And I've got to take my car in for service tomorrow morning, so I can't trade the open tomorrow. So this really sucks. I just remembered. Oh, shoot. Oh, well. Yeah, no, this is definitely breaking down. So the short down to the UB, and then now we're getting continuation. And it is, the bottom does not look particularly like it's done, although, you know, it keeps temporarily exhausting. But right now, you know, it's got more to go down there. The trouble is, you know, depending on who's a evaluator or what accounts you're in, your day trade margins are about to go away. So anybody day trading is going to have to cover, and that alone could push us up. So those are good things to be aware of, by the way. Remember, you know, just before the close, all the evaluators make everybody get flat, and funded accounts have the same, you know, for people like that. So the only people that can really play are people playing full margin. You know, even the micros go temporarily, you know, way up, right? So until the reset. So yeah, this is very interesting today. Give me 1 second. Just want to check something over here. Which one is that? That's there. Okay, that's cool. We can take that. All right. All right. Well, you know what? The session's, you know, we got 5 more minutes in the day, and you know, I think it's going to be pretty erratic and thin for the next few minutes. I'm not going to try to trade it. It will be too hard to take profits, even if you're right. But I got to tell you, tonight's going to be wicked good, guys. I'm really excited about trading tonight. Looking at this low, I mean, we're closing at the low of a 2% down day with aggression at the low. I mean, that's as good as it gets for an overnight session. Both ways, not just down, up, definitely. I mean, again, at some point, some of these guys got to start taking profits, and we're going to get two-way again, like we're kind of seeing here. So it'd be exciting. I might do ad hoc live tonight. I'll post alerts if I do it. Other than that, I'm going to wrap this one up here. I'll just leave the session going until we actually close, so you can watch it. But I'm not going to do anything else. And that's that. So that was fun. My profit curve, or my equity curve going into the close, was at 247 in this micro account, and I gave back looks like about 80 of that on those 2 shorts longs I stopped out of. So that's cool. That's the opportunity was significantly more than that. So, you know, again, it's fun practice. It's playing conditions that are hard. See how you do. I don't discourage you. You gonna say something, JBC?
Yeah, so I got a couple of questions that I think people meant to direct to you, but they ended up going to me about what time do you typically start trading overnight, and are you meaning like after 5? I don't know.
Yeah,
what time
all right. I'll address that in just a second.
Yeah, it would be
Jan. I'm not saying I don't trade the last 5 minutes, because I'm saying that none of you should. Because number one, if you're in an evaluator or a funded account, you can't. You're restricted at that point because of the margins of the day. And if you're trading your own money, unless you're really skilled, you're trying to close the books with the best traders in the world that are taking profits from the day. So I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying under these conditions, I wouldn't even try it. On the other hand, if we had the other condition that I was looking for, where buyers came in at the close and we had that one big sweep up, if that had continued and we went above 80, by all means, I would stay long. I wouldn't stay short in this because, again, people are going to have to cover here. So that was a statement I was making from 2 points of view. Number one, new traders should never try to trade the last 5 or 10 minutes. It's way too hard, and you're just at the mercy of traders that are much bigger than you. And on most days, you shouldn't do it at all. But if there's a good closing setup, it's usually over by then, or it's really obvious by then. That's what I was saying. Okay. Last 5 minutes of RTH, Donna. What's my average size for the micro? We were just doing 1s and 2s there. Are you talking about all day? When I'm trading or when I'm just playing around, Pete? All day. That 200 and X number of bucks, whatever it was. I was trading mostly 5 lots. I've been trading blocks of 5. So 5 and then sometimes adding 5 more. So basically like 1 mini. And so I had one $73 winner on a 1 lot. And that was a micro 1 lot in ES. A huge move. So I tend to I use as few as I can on a day like this. I did one trade in ES and immediately decided it was a bad idea, even though it was profitable. I had to take so much heat to do it. I just wasn't prepared. And not structural heat, dollar heat, because one lot is $50 a point and it was moving around like 2 points. I just wasn't willing to throw $100 at that idea. But what I am willing to do is a 5 lot in the micros, and I could throw less money at the idea, give it more room without having the monetary risk. So that's what I meant. So my typical size will vary between 1 micro and about 20 minis. Lately I haven't been bigger than that. 20 ES is about as big as I do lately. And I'll only do that if I really like a setup and I'm, risk management's really clean. And, in general, I posted a few examples of my scalping in micro or in minis. 1 and 2 lots is enough to give you $1,000 days. So why do anything more than that? You don't, that's why passing the smaller evaluations is so much easier. Do a 25K with a 1 lot. You should never, you could do more if you need to, but you don't need to. All right, so we're going into the close right now, and you can see it's really, this is what it's like. It goes up and down, because there's big, 2,000, these are big chunks of trades going off. These are, big people closing positions. So, you never want to be in this mix. And again, if you're in an evaluator, tryout or funded account, you can't trade this. They won't let you trade the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. Oh, absolutely, Donna. I go back and forth between being frustrated that I'm not trading my size, and that's one of the reasons that we went to this new format, so that Lee and JVC and I could do our own thing when we want to, and without feeling the burden of explaining. There may be some days in these live sessions where you guys see me slinging 5s and 10s and 20s of ES and YM, but I'm not going to be talking about it. I'm going to be really focused on what's happening, obviously. So that's the idea of the new format. All right, I'm going to shut Jigsaw down here because it's, obviously we're just kind of going back and forth there, and I'm going to wrap the session up. I normally won't do like burning desires on this, because we're really not doing these as teaching sessions, but it's not about the money, Donna. Donna's saying you don't need the money. It's about playing the game. This is the most fun, highly rewarded game on the planet. This is the ultimate meritocracy. I mean, what else would I do all day? I'm a minimalist. I could live on $100 a day forever. But the game is the challenge. Look, this is one of the reasons I share personal things with you guys, Donna. It's and all of you. I'm 62 years old in a few months. I've been doing this since I was a 13-year-old. I've been in venture capital. I've been in tech startups. I've raced motorcycles. I've raced cars. I've done a lot of really cool, fun, exciting things. At 62, I don't want to race motocross anymore. My body couldn't handle one crash. I'd love to drive Formula One, but they'd never let me. So the best I can hope for is Class C sports cars, which I still race occasionally. But there's only so many ways you can get kicks and giggles when you get to this point. And trading, it's a way of measuring me against the best in the world. So a lot of people retire from their jobs. Like I have a neighbor like this. He cashed out of a startup. He's got double-digit millions in the bank. He's got a brand new Harley, a brand new pickup truck, a brand new sports car, a Porsche, and a BMW, and a nice house here in Cambria for a couple $1 million. And he has no idea what to do with himself. I mean, his career was his whole life. I see him out with his dog, and he's like, what are you doing today? I said, oh, I'm trading this and that. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, varnishing my deck. And you can tell he hates it. And I'm like, well, come on over, watch trading. So I think this is a really cool thing because, you don't physically age out of it as much as you do most things. And, whether you have a big bank account or not, it's a very rewarding endeavor. For me, it's like, playing in a poker tournament or playing a good game of chess. It challenges my brain. And that's important to me. So hopefully that all makes sense.
Hey, Red Bull let Tom Cruise drive their car, and he's 59. So
yeah, but he's got a paddock pass, and
he's Tom Cruise for crying out loud.
Tom Cruise, exactly. Yeah. And most people don't understand that a Formula One car is ridiculously hard to drive. I mean, it's not, you're laying on your back, and then, there's a gas pedal, there's a brake pedal, the clutch and the gears are on your hands, and, the steering wheel is a $200,000 computer. So yeah, McLaren has a thing where you can drive one of the older Formula One cars. It's like one of those race weekends. I've heard cool. Mixed. Yeah, I've heard mixed about it, but that is one of the things. I've driven every other type of race car. I've driven a NASCAR. I've driven everything else, but I've never come close to anything like Formula One. Anyway, so Donna, it doesn't change the world. No. She's commenting about, making the money and playing the game. Yes, but you know what it enables you to do, Donna? This is a very important point. For me, I learned early on in my career that the money doesn't motivate me. I lost that desire after the first startup, and I realized having the house and cars and all the toys was really frustrating for me. It's not me. It was like stuff I had to do all the time instead of just enjoying life. And from that point forward, I kind of became minimalistic, and I realized, as I had health problems, and you guys have heard all about my health problems for years, and it's about enjoying every day and grabbing the marrow out of life. And this is the perfect endeavor, particularly as our bodies age. And I look at it as an opportunity to make money that I can give away to people that need it. A lot of friends of mine got really creamed in the COVID lockdowns. And so, it was a good opportunity to send a bunch of people $100 every now and then, without even telling them it was coming, make their day. For some people, that was the difference between paying rent and not. And so, one of the deals I have with the lady that I coached in Colorado that I've talked about a bunch of times, she's profitable and she's learned from me, and I just don't want to coach her anymore because she's trading with God, as I've explained. And from my point of view, that doesn't work. But our deal is she doesn't pay me anymore. She donates 10% of her profits to No Kill Cat Shelter in Colorado. That is how she compensates me. And again, that makes the world a better place, and it makes my teaching her rewarding to me. So, and notice where we are right now at 80, right again, we are settling right at 80. And that is pretty fucking crazy because that's the spot where the big seller, the passive seller was, and it's closing literally right on that spot. That's fascinating. And then, of course, we'll go into the settlement and we'll reopen. The reopen should be great. Tonight should be great. I will be back. I will post some live stuff later. But right now, I'm going to wrap this session up. So let's see, another comment I just got. COVID lockdown is the best thing that happened to you. Oh, I think, if you have something to focus on, Jan, I think that's absolutely correct. I got a lot of really good work done during the lockdown. And I came to Cambria as kind of like my Walden Pond. I wanted to get out of my head, after my mother passed away and, 5 years of caring for her with Alzheimer's. That was brutal. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. So, sometimes that's really cool to just be able to engage in the market and, go walk and look at the turkeys and the deer and, so yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. One thing about trading that people just don't accept, as important as it is, this is a very difficult individual endeavor. You have to be ruthlessly aware, ruthlessly self-aware. And so the lockdown, created some awareness for some people. I think that's a valid statement. Some of them just complained about it. Some of them can't wait to get back into the world, but I think that's the successful way to live, is to, whatever life throws at you, be really good at adapting to it. Adapt, improvise, overcome. If you can do that, nothing will faze you. And, I got to tell you, everything in the world has been thrown at me. I've broken my back 9 times. I've broken my neck. It's still broken. It hurts like hell. I really like the way the lady, the writer, Carrie Fisher, a friend of my sister's and recently passed as well. She had brutal health problems as well and drug addiction problems. And one of the things she said to me once when she was on a speaking panel with my sister, and right after it, they were talking and she was telling somebody, I wasn't in the conversation, I was just listening, but she said that she feels like she's accomplished amazing things just by surviving to 60 something with everything that she's dealt with. And that was just such a self-aware statement. It was so profound because it's so true. Successfully, it's not about how much money you make or, what you die with, how many houses you have, or, it's about, did you engage life and successfully, engage it? She survived hell. She was in a massive movie and Star Wars, and, she wrote a bunch of best-selling books, and she survived drug addiction, and that's a life well lived, no matter how you look at it. So. Yeah, that is a really tough condition because you're hearing sounds all the time. That's brutal. I hear you, Jan. I was just saying that it was tinnitus. Is that how it's pronounced?
Tinnitus or tinnitus, both are valid. I've had it for as long as I can remember. Yep.
Can I give example? Ruthlessly self-aware of oneself. Could I give an example of that in a trading career? Yeah. I'm a ruthless contrarian in life, Pete. Everything I do in life. I'm the first guy. Somebody says black, I say white. You say white, I say black. Someone, someone passes me on the highway, I want to accelerate. I was trained as a runner and as a racer that you accelerate up hills, you accelerate into turns. Everything that everybody does the opposite of, I'm trained to do the opposite of what most people do. So one way that it impacts with me is I know I'm like that. I know I'm a contrarian. And so I have to figure out a way that when we're at the low, that I don't just automatically want to buy. But because I'm ruthlessly self-aware about that, what I've done is I built myself a methodology, and that's why I nibble with, at first tests of areas like that. I've given myself permission to do that because it works to my strengths. That I tend to be early, I tend to see stuff coming, I tend to be impatient. So instead of saying, Jeff, you have to be patient, I say, no, under that circumstance, I've given myself permission to be impatient to the following degree of risk, because I'm embracing the skill and the intuition that I have, that I often see those turns, but I'm managing the stupidity of being a contrarian and being very stubborn, which I am too. And I have to really be able to accept when I'm wrong. So I force myself to define those things really clearly, and then I do it. And that is my gift to myself, based on that self-awareness. I'll give you another thing. The first thing that I do, Pete, when I sit down at my computer, and depending on whether you went through a boot camp or not, and I don't remember, you may or may not have heard this, but I do a self-check of my competence. That is the first piece of my trading process. I literally give myself a test, and I won't go into detail about what the test is, but I test my reaction time. You see Formula One drivers doing this. They warm up right before they get in the car, like their trainer will drop balls and they have to suddenly move their hands down and catch the balls from, switch their hand position. I do stuff like that. I test my competence and my reactions because I have high pain problems. I have chronic pain problems. I don't sleep a lot. So there's times that I might think I'm seeing something and I'm just not competent. So, I'm delusional. So what I do is the first thing I do is I always test myself because, again, ruthlessly self-aware. I know that if I've had a rough night, I'm so confident and I'm so experienced that I'm going to try to do it anyway. But my skills might be there, but I'm at a liability because I'm not rested, or because I'm in pain, or because I had an argument with my girlfriend, or whatever. And so I've learned that for me, the first thing I have to do is be ruthlessly self-aware of what's my condition before I trade today. And, as I've gotten older, that's become more and more important. But I've been doing that since I was 24, when I lost $150,000 in one day because I was so friggin' overconfident. I thought, no matter what, I could fix it. And I just got so far behind the curve in one day that I blew it. And so that's one of the reasons I do that. I've taught myself how not to have a really catastrophic day like that again. So that's one example. I'll give you more along the way. There's a lot of them, but it's both a curse, a blessing, and a curse to be confident. Somebody told me earlier today that, it's almost intimidating how confident I can be in what I'm doing. I get that. I totally get that. And that is not only a benefit and a curse as an instructor, because people can be afraid to ask questions and whatnot, but I'm the same way with myself. I have to really battle myself to disagree with myself. And again, rather than, when you go to that emotional place, Pete, this is the key, where you feel a dissonance in your view of what's happening. That is where you learn to be ruthlessly self-critical. You put the emotion that you're feeling aside, and you say, what's really going on right now? Forget the emotions, forget what I think as a human being. What's really happening? If I was standing behind me, telling me what I think I'm doing, what would I say? But I avoid things like, oh, Jeff, you're such an idiot for taking that long. I just say, okay, that didn't work. I don't do negative self-talk, but I have a constant conversation with myself, knowing the liabilities and the assets. Hopefully that makes some sense. All right. Any other questions or comments? That covers the comments that we got during the session there. And there's one here. Hold on a second. There's one further back that I didn't really directly. I think I'll be trading. So Pete said trading overnight rather than regular trading hours. That actually is easier, Pete. You're absolutely correct. Tonight, that's one of the reasons I'm going to trade tonight. I can trade from like midnight to 2 or 3 in the morning and doing 3 tick drills, put up a couple $1,000s. It's because there's less big energy. We don't have huge breakouts. We don't have huge sweeps because nobody really big is playing. They can't because the liquidity is too thin. So that's a really good point. I do that all the time. That's the main reason I want to trade tonight. I expect, particularly since we got back to 80, God, that's perfect. That was right where the big block of selling was. So, look at the footprint here. I mean, this is perfect. We got right back. We're sitting on that price rejector after, a not particularly clean low. There's UB down there. This is perfect. We should have lots of two directional trading to capitalize on. All right. Last chance again. Normally won't be doing burning desires and whatnot on these live sessions, but any other comments, anything else anyone wants me to address? You're more than welcome, Alfredo. I appreciate it. I do that because it's a big part of being a successful trader. Somebody, Andrew, posted about this, how, to do this really well, particularly at the beginning, it has to become your life. That's totally true. It has to. And, if you dedicate a good solid year or two of your life to it, I promise you that later on, as you go back to doing your life and doing this, you'll be much better off. This is the type of discipline that lends itself well to that. Would you not agree with that, JVC? I know you totally do, but I'm just asking.
I totally do. Absolutely.
Anyway, that's a good time to wrap it up. So we will see you guys. Let's see. Tomorrow is Lee, I believe. Yeah, tomorrow's Lee for the all three of them or just two of them. I don't have my notes in front of me.
In front of me. Where to go?
I think tomorrow's the day Lee does them all.
No, it's not. No, tomorrow is me in the morning. I get the first session, then Lee's the next two. Thursday is Lee all day. All Lee all the time.
And Friday is all Jeff all the time. Yes.
It is.
All right, so let's call it a day here. I will post later on if I'm around during the night. I will be trading. Whether I go live or not will depend on if I can find a good time to do it, but I think I probably will. Awesome. By the way, just some other little things to look at. Copper is down 5% today. Oil's down 4.6%. This is a great environment. It is a target-rich environment. Rest, everybody. Okay, thank you, Robert. I really appreciate the feedback. Thank you, Heidi. Likewise. All right, guys, we'll talk to you tomorrow. And watch alerts. Watch the alerts stream for announcements about tonight. Bye-bye.